Alright, let's have a look at these two mowers together. This is the same lawn that the Ego struggled on last week, so we'll see what it's like with the Makita. This is Makita's 40 volt max 21 inch, and this is Ego's commercial, relatively new commercial 21 inch. Both are set to 31 millimeters, which, well, actually it's 32 on the Ego and 31 on the Makita, which is set in 3 on the Ego and set in 2 on the Ego, set in 3 on the Makita. Brand new blades, empty bags, brand new batteries. Let's see how they go on this lawn. If any of you follow me on Instagram, you'll see last week the Ego was struggling on this lawn. So let's try the Ego first, see how we go with that. Try the Makita now. Alrighty, let's have a look at what we got. It's going to be very difficult to see in the video, but both of them are cut very nicely. There is no clumping at this height on this lawn from the Ego, so that's positive. Oh, wait a minute. No clump. Oh, there's a little bit here. Not much though. Both did a pretty decent job on that. Quite pleased with that. No noticeable differences, I don't think. Both did a lovely job. So I'll take it. We'll head to a slightly thicker lawn in a minute. See how they fare on that one. I am still seeing a little bit of clumping on the Ego, just a little bit. Very similar battery compartments on both. Lift that up, whack them in there. Battery life on the Ego is really good. However, I have got two 12 amp hour batteries in there, so there's 24 amp hours of power. This one it's got two 8s. Nowhere near the watt hours though, so this one appears to chew through the batteries quite a bit quicker. Both got bags, fabric catchers, and both do a good job at catching. The Makita's better. This struggles heaps when it's wet or slightly long. It just blocks up the chute. Control wise, we've got self-propelled here, go and blade engage here, all very straightforward. Works well. The only thing I wish they'd done is done a sort of cutaway here, so you can keep this closed and release the blades whilst holding onto this still, like as you can see. Yeah, they've just come down. So when this is when you're holding that closed, you can let go of the blades and you can turn the mower. It makes sense when you're using it more, but this one hasn't got it, and it's a bit of a shame because it makes it a bit more fiddly to use. This takes bloody ages to ramp up as well, self-propelled. This is just kind of gets there almost instantly, which I much prefer. Yeah, let's have a look at it on another lawn around the back, and a much thicker lawn, and it's longer, and see how they go. Okay, so last week I was here and the Ego was really struggling on this lawn. It was a little bit longer because it had been a fortnight in between mows, but it always struggles on this lawn for some reason. It's very thick zoysia. So I've got it on the same settings, which is level 3, which is 40mm, and we're going to go over it with the Ego, and then we're going to go over it with the new, that I've just got, new Makita 21-inch 40-volt max mower. And we're going to see if there's any difference. So let's get the Ego on the go. Highest speed setting 2. Yeah, can't see too many clumps, so that's done an alright job. Okay, let's try the Makita. So 39mm is number 4 on here, so 1mm lower. Let's see how that goes. No worries at all, just chews through it beautifully. A little bit of clumping as well from that one actually. So they both do. It must be something to do with this lawn and the angle. Let's have another. It's probably clumping. Yeah, bag's full. Didn't empty the bag. But having said that, even with the bag almost full, it's picking it up better than an empty bag on the Ego. So interesting. Let's empty this bag. Let's mow the whole thing with this, because I've mowed the whole thing last week with the Ego and it struggled. So let's just, as you can see, there's still, I don't know if you can still see some dead bits that it didn't pick up, even though I went over it 4 or 5 times. It's a difficult lawn to mow, I'll give it that. It's thick and it's slopey and it's not that much fun, but let's empty this one now, go over the whole thing with the Makita and see how that does. Definitely packs it in the bag. I find emptying this bag, this catcher, a lot easier than the Ego as well, because it hasn't got that little, there's a lip on the Ego that slots into the, there's a little bit of metal that comes out here, it's almost like a little slide. And I see why that's on there, but it's it gets in the way when you're emptying it a little bit. I find it does anyway. That one's easier. Plus you can lift it straight out. Alright, let's do some more mowing. So far so good, no clumping, really nice cut and not cutting out or stalling or anything. Impressive. Alright, I noticed a bit of clumping then, but again the bag was full and it's on a heck of an angle. So let's do another pass of this one, try the Honda the Ego again in exactly the same conditions. Turn it back on. Yeah, it's definitely the angle of this bloody lawn, I reckon, because that is still leaving similar, very similar to the clumps to the Ego. Let's have a go on the Ego again now. You get back on this thing, it's such a tank. It's like so heavy, and it's just like, yeah, it's a tank. The Makita is a lot lighter. Actually, I don't mind the weight sometimes. Let's see how we go here. Yeah, this one's clumping too. This one's clumping too, but it's just the angle. It's like, it must be about bloody 40 degrees, that angle. But the quality of the cut is, I can't tell the difference if I'm being honest. I really can't. I think I prefer using the Makita just because it's a bit lighter, a bit more responsive. You can push it around a bit easier. You don't have to use the self-propelled. This is heavy. And yeah, although sometimes I like having that extra weight because it just kind of drives across the grass a bit less bouncy. Far out, I don't know. They're both bloody awesome, hey? On the Makita. Doesn't clump driving this way with the slope, so it must be the way it throws the grass into the catcher. But going this way on this angle, which would make sense actually, it's going in that way. This way it does clump. Oh, I didn't clump then. Yeah, there is bugger all in it really. They're both brilliant mowers. I think my conclusion is they are both really, really good. This is a bit lighter, a bit easier to maneuver. The Ego is built like a tank, better battery life. Or I say better, it's got bigger batteries in. The watt hours in those are about 600. This is double. These are about 288, I think, from looking at it last night. And this is 8 amp hours, 12 amp hours. So you've got 24 amp hours in there and about 1200 watt hours. And in here you've got 16 amp hours and about 300-ish watt hours. 600 watt hours. So you've got a shed load more in there. It's definitely built very tank-like. This is a bit lighter, a bit more plasticky feeling. Doesn't feel like it's not. Yeah, it doesn't feel any less robust than the Ego. It feels very strong as well. It's very similar sort of plastics, and wheels are very similar. In fact, they're almost identical. Oh no, wait a minute. This has got the wheels on the Makita are plastic. This has got metal wheels with rubber. That's more plasticky on the wheels on the Makita, so these ones will probably wear out a bit quicker. You can look in there to see if it's full. You can look in there to see if it's full. Like, yeah. Having used them together for the first time today, like, there really isn't much in it. Both cracking mowers, and obviously if you're already into the Ego system, this is brilliant. If you're already into Makita, this is brilliant. I don't see enough of a reason to swap from one brand to the other than the fact that the Makita is cheaper, but when you get the extra batteries to match this, it won't be. So it'll be about the same. This was in Australian dollars, 2,800 with two 12 amp hours and a dual charger. Is it a dual charger? No, a single charger. This is 2,100-ish Aussie dollars with the two 8 amp hours and a dual charger. So, but they're smaller batteries. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'll leave it up to you guys. Some of the things I don't like sometimes about this is it's very heavy, it's big, you don't ever really want to push this anywhere. You're normally always using the self-propelled, whereas this you can just sort of, this is light as a feather really, you can kind of maneuver it around, you can use it without the self-propelled. This you kind of always want to use the self-propelled. 2 wheel height adjusters front and back isn't too bad. I prefer 1. It's better than 4, but I prefer 1 on the Makita. These are great, they work fine. Would prefer a cutout on here, as I said earlier in the video. The Makita has the cutout, so I prefer this setup slightly, but there's not much in it. Sometimes this can pinch your fingers because it hasn't got that cutout, but they have got a recessed little bit along here, so the bars sit a bit more flush. These ones just sort of sit up against that metal bar. Honestly, I'm splitting hairs here really now. They're both really, really good. Sometimes I like the weight of this. Sometimes it's nicer to have it lighter. Blade speeds, I think this has got a faster blade speed, but it's a bar blade rather than a disc with 4 swing back blades on the Makita. Both bag really well. The Ego doesn't like thick wet grass so much, from what I've found. Haven't tried the Makita in thick wet grass yet. So hello, Kite Lovelawns.
Hi, how are you?
Good, mate. Yourself?
This is the owner of Love.
Go away, bloody telemarketers. Yeah, both got great bags, in and out easy. Don't know what else to say really. This has got a dedicated on-off button, which I prefer to just having this, which times out and turns off after I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes or something, and you press the green button to turn it on. But yeah, as you can see from the quality of the cut out the front and out here, there's not a lot in it. They're both really nice, and yeah, wonder which one I'm going to keep. Oh, decisions. So I'll use both these mowers a bit more over the upcoming couple of weeks, and yeah, we'll see how they compare, and I'll give you a bit of a full report. But this is just my initial kind of findings, having used the Ego for about 4 months now and the Makita for a couple of days. But yeah, stay tuned for another video a little bit down the road when I've had a bit more experience with the Makita, and I can formulate a bit more of an overall opinion. But yeah, first impressions are what I've shared throughout this video. nothing's changed over the past few days, so still liking the Makita. It's a really good mower, and so is the Ego, to be fair. All the points I mentioned earlier are still relevant, so heavier. I won't go through them all again now, but it's already quite a long video. But stay tuned for a future video where we discuss a few more points on the Makita versus the Ego. Tell you what, I'd love to get hold of a Crest mower. Crest, if you guys are out there, anyone listening, get in touch if you can, or let me know someone I can get hold of. And I'd love to put a Crest up against these two and see, because a lot of people have been recommending them to me recently, so that would be fun. Anywho, catch you on the next one, guys. Cheers.